Hi ladies, and welcome back to my channel. Oscar and I are very happy that you are here. If you're new, my name is Beany and I create healing resources, coach, and have real talk conversations for survivors of narcissistic and domestic abuse. This video is one of those topics that makes everyone lean in a little bit closer. How do I know if what I'm feeling is my intuition or am I just being triggered? So if you have ever second guessed yourself, if you maybe shut down that gut feeling or you overanalyze something to death, then this one's for you. Today, we're going to break down the difference between intuition and trauma, and I'm going to share some real examples, some healing tips, and some self-check tools to help you to begin to trust yourself again. This topic hits close to home for me because, like anyone who has been through all the BS, the emotional, the physical, the financial, the psychological, and even the sexual trauma, when you come out the other side, you can be really guarded. And the last thing I wanted was for that person to strip me of some of my very best qualities, which are, compassion and empathy and trust. So not only am I going to help you to know the difference between intuition and a trauma response, but I'm going to give you some real life examples to show you the difference. And the most important part is I'm going to give you 5 actionable steps that you can begin to take to differentiate between the two and to begin to rebuild some trust in yourself again. So grab your tea, maybe a journal, and just breathe, and let's dive in. Okay, so why is it so confusing? Let's start with why this even becomes a question in the first place, right? If you've been in an abusive relationship, especially a narcissistic relationship, your sense of reality has been constantly manipulated. You were taught to question your own perception, your own emotions, even your own memory. And that's gaslighting, right? That's coercive control. And it's designed to disconnect you from your own inner knowing, your intuition, right? So what happens over time is that you start distrusting yourself. You learn to over-explain, or maybe you freeze, or you learn to push that gut feeling way, way down, right? And even after you leave, the effects kind of linger. Suddenly, every reaction feels suspect. And you ask yourself, is this wisdom or is this my wound talking? So let's get into what healthy, regulated intuition actually feels like. Your intuition should feel calm and quiet. It should feel like maybe a gentle nudge, not a full body panic. And an example of that might be, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe going there. And that's not anxious, it's just grounded. Your intuition also is something that is in the present moment. It shows up for you in real time. It's your body responding to the right now. And it's not flashing back to then. And your intuition, it should feel wise and not desperate. There is no frantic energy. It doesn't scream at you. It just whispers, nope, not for us. And your intuition also doesn't need a reason. You might not have all the facts, but it doesn't matter because your intuition doesn't argue with itself. It's just that deep inner knowing. This is the voice that many survivors have to relearn how to hear because it was ignored or silenced for so incredibly long. Okay, so now let's talk about your trauma responses and how they feel in your body and your brain. Trauma responses are loud and they are urgent and they might feel panic and they might feel dread or racing thoughts. It screams at you. Something bad is about to happen right now, even if that is not the case, even if you're just having a conversation. It's usually tied to a memory and not to the present moment. Maybe their tone reminded you of your ex. Maybe that silence from someone else triggered a time when you were punished with the silent treatment. So trauma demands explanation and analysis. That would be like you spiraling and maybe asking frantic questions. Am I overreacting? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm the problem. It leads to you becoming reactive and maybe even shut down. You might snap or withdraw. You might disassociate. You might over accommodate because that's what you've had to do to survive. Trauma lives in the nervous system. It's not just in your mind. So if you're triggered, your body can't always tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived one. So let me give you a few examples, some real life examples to kind of show you the difference. Example number one. You are on the other side of an abusive relationship, abusive, toxic, maybe narcissistic relationship, and you are dating someone new. You feel uncomfortable when they tease or joke with you in public. Your intuition feels like a boundary has been crossed and it doesn't sit right. Your trauma response is you in a panic and you assume they're just like my ex. I need to run the other way immediately, right? Okay. Number two example, you're offered a new job. Your gut says yes, but your body feels frozen. Your intuition is a calm yes. This feels expansive and right. And you might feel a little excited and nervous. But your trauma response is going to bring up fear of failure. And that fear is likely rooted in old stories, not in anything that is a current truth. Number three example, your friend doesn't text you back. You feel sick and rejected. Your intuition tells you maybe something's off, but your trauma triggers that abandonment wound, and now you're in a full spiral mode. Did I say something to upset them? Are they mad at me? Maybe they don't want to hang out with me anymore. Can you see the difference there? Trauma screams, intuition whispers. Trauma wants you to survive, and intuition wants you to thrive. So how do we rebuild that trust within yourself? How can you start telling the difference and rebuilding that kind of inner compass? And this is where you're going to want to get that pen and paper because you're going to want to take a few notes here. Here come the 5 things that you can do that's going to help you. Number 1 is pause. Take a beat. Don't rush decisions. Give your nervous system time to settle before responding to anything. Trauma reacts fast. Intuition doesn't rush. Okay, number 2, I want you to ask yourself, is this about right now, or is this about something that happened in the past? If your reaction feels bigger than the moment itself, it might be a trigger and not the truth. Number 3 is notice where this lives in your body. Your intuition often sits in your gut or like your chest, like a gentle knowing. But your trauma feels like something tight in your throat or your jaw or your heart is racing, right? So pay attention to your body. Number 4 is journal it out. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen? What does this remind me of? What would I say to a friend who was feeling this way? So much happens for us when we journal. I know this better than anyone. I've used it extensively. And for that reason, I created a Right to Heal, which is a free 30-day journal journey. This is a great way for you to get in the practice of writing out and paying attention to how you really feel. I will link it below for you in the description. And number 5, get safe and regulated. You cannot access your intuition when you are in a state of fight or flight, right? So breathe, maybe move your body, maybe get outside, call a safe person. Safety is the soil where your intuition grows. So let's wrap it up. If you're struggling to trust yourself right now, please know that you're not broken. You're healing. Your intuition never left you. It just kind of got buried under some fear and survival and maybe someone else's manipulation of you. But every time you pause, every time you choose to listen, every time you give yourself some grace instead of shame, you are strengthening that inner voice again. And it might feel hard at first. It might feel messy, but I promise you it's working. So keep going. You can trust yourself again. And I promise your intuition will never lead you anywhere your healing can't follow. So let me know in the comments if you have ever confused a trauma response with tuition. And if so, maybe what helped you to tell the difference between the two. As always, you guys, I'm rooting for you.